Hi everyone. Doing my very first Facebook Live here. So this is really exciting. I'm just going to give a few minutes for people to come on. And please say hi when you're here. I see Elena. Thanks for tuning in. And of course, for those of you catching the replay, please feel free to say hello and let me know you watched it as well. So give a couple minutes for you guys all to trickle in. Hi, Elena. Thank you for tuning in. We're in my home office, the Krista Davis Coaching Headquarters here. This beautiful sign right behind me was actually made by one of our members, Courtney Hall. So I definitely recommend, if you're looking for custom wall art, I don't even know, right there, definitely recommend checking her work out. And I'm really, really excited about this tonight. So just waiting a couple more minutes to see who comes on. And while you're tuning on, if you have any questions that you want addressed tonight, please feel free to leave them and I'll make sure to get to them. So as you're coming in, even if you're catching the replay, if you have any questions that aren't addressed in this session, please feel free to leave them. And in a couple minutes, we'll dive right in and get started. Okay. So those of you who are trickling in, please say hello. I know I've said this a bunch of times. I'm so excited to be doing this, going live. It's a new experience for me. So, so far, so good. Tonight's session is all about getting clarity. And for those of you who've been paying attention in the group, this session was inspired by the ongoing Get Clarity series that I've been rolling out the past few weeks. And I wanted to come on, do a live session because I think sometimes it can be tough to keep up with all the sporadic videos. So I wanted a place where you can kind of get all of your clarity questions answered all in one place. But then I was also getting some side questions, concerns. So I wanted to have a forum where I can address those questions and really talk about the most common reasons why you don't have clarity and what you can do, of course, to fix it. I see in my work, a lot of times there are certain things that are getting in our way. And when we have the knowledge of what's actually the reason why we don't have what we want, which in this case is clarity, we can more effectively address it and move forward. So I have 5 reasons tonight. And I'll be going over some of the tools that I shared in the Get Clarity series. But again, like I said, I want you to have this all in one place so you can go back in, tune into the training, and have it all here. So let's kick this off. Reason number 1. The problem is not the problem. What I mean by this is sometimes we think, I don't know what I want. I don't know how to get there if we do know what we want. But that's not really the problem. So we think we're in a problem, and I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what I mean by this. And I've seen this countless times in my work with my clients as well as in conversation. So example 1, one time I was at a speed coaching event, and I was coaching a woman who was telling me that she didn't know what she wanted. So we're talking, we're having a conversation, and I asked her, I said, well, what do you think is actually getting in the way of what you want? And she looked at me and she said, I think it's actually imposter syndrome. So I share this example for two reasons. First, the question, what is getting in the way of clarity? I included that as one of your journaling exercises. That can be one of the most powerful questions to ask yourself, because I like to think that we have clarity, like deep down we know what we want on some level, we know what we want, but there's a block in almost accessing that. So asking yourself, okay, what is getting in the way of clarity? That can help you better understand, okay, is this really a clarity problem or is this an imposter syndrome problem? Perfectionism problem. I've heard from clients in the past, they come to me, they have some ideas of what they want, but what's really getting them stuck on executing them and getting clear on the path forward is wanting to do it right the first time. So you see what I mean? It's not necessarily, I don't know what I want. And sometimes we tell ourselves that story when there's a lot more going on. So having a better understanding of what's really getting in the way can help you develop the right solutions to address it. So that's the first one there, really knowing what the problem is underneath the problem. I see we have a couple of you online. Any questions from anyone who's watching or from anyone who's watching the replay? No? I'm curious for anyone who's watching, can you relate at all to what I just said regarding the problem not really being the problem and having to do that investigative work to really identify what's going on? Anyone can relate? Give me a like, a yes, even if you're watching the replay. Okay. Oh, hi, Talia. So glad you made it. And I think we have one other on here as well. Again, oh yes, Elena, thank you, perfectionism. And I wonder, Elena, for you, I'm gonna guess sometimes it probably also produces doubt. So you're probably going out wanting to do things, you want it to be perfect, and then you start to second guess yourself, and you're not really, you then think you're not clear on what you want. Does that resonate, Elena? It's interesting interacting in this way, but hopefully that resonates with you. And a lot of times all of these things can kind of trickle together, which is why in my coaching, I always really take a holistic approach to things. And there can be the symptoms of the problem, the causes of the problem, and they can all really become enmeshed together. So reason number one. Now, I think Chelsea, I think you're on here. Oh yes, Elena, okay, good. Sorry, guys. I told you, I said it will be insightful as well as entertaining as I figure out how to work this. Sorry. It's hard for me to scroll through this. Okay. I'm a grandma in a millennial's body. So, okay, awesome. Thank you, Elena. I'm glad you get it. Hi, Talia. And I think Chelsea, I think you're here as well. Chelsea, I miss you. Thank you for tuning in. Okay. So glad we get this. So I hopefully just as you're going through this, start thinking about really where you feel those actual problems are that you're facing that are coming into your clarity concerns. Okay. Reason number two, you're stuck inside the box. This is a little spin-off if you saw my most recent video about being stuck in the box. Quickly share my story about this, which I shared in the earlier video. When about a year before I went full-time in my business, I was working in a nonprofit and I was really, really stuck. And I kept on saying, I don't know what I want. Don't know what I want. So I'm doing informational interviews. I'm trying to get a job. I'm like, I know I want to do coaching, but this doesn't feel right. So all over the place. You know what that feels like, right? Going all over the place. Looking back, I knew exactly what I wanted. I wanted to go full-time with my coaching business. But what would follow that would be, but I can't do that. But I don't have the experience. But how am I going to make money? I don't know, but all the excuses in the world. And it was all based on, Chelsea, I saw your comment, yay. So, sorry, I get sidetracked, guys, too. So I was going through all these excuses about why I couldn't go full-time with my business, and it was reinforcing the story that I don't know what I want. And this kind of connects with reason number one as well, right? I'm thinking the problem is I don't know what I want, when really it's just that I was stuck in the rules and the conditioning that my business should be at a certain point before I go full-time. I should have more coaching experience before I go full-time in order to be successful. I'm not going to be able to make money, which is like literally insane. What's the crazy talk? So for me, what really, I share this because a lot of times we're in a box of our own making. And it's not to blame. I'm not saying like you're the problem. We grow up, we're told things. We learn things from society, from our parents, our peers, and then we have a belief system. And as you've probably heard me say many times, our beliefs create our thoughts, which create our feelings, which lead to our actions. How to address this? I really recommend doing thought work and belief work. Now, this is an excellent journaling exercise. Wherever you're feeling unclear in your life, sit down and write down all the things you're thinking about it, all the beliefs, all the thoughts, all the rules, all the expectations, and then question every single one of them. Where did it come from? Is it even true? What's this even about? And another way you can also do this exercise is creating a shoulds list, right? Like the things all you feel that you think you should do, and then creating a list of, if you could just let all that go, what are the things that would really excite you? If you could just envision like whatever it is that you really want, what would those things be? And then compare those lists and see how the shoulds or the rules might be getting in the way of the wants. Another way, another tactic to use if you're stuck inside the box is doing something different. And what I mean by this is sometimes when we're doing the same thing every single day, we have our routines, it gets us even more ingrained in our habits. So sometimes it can be, if you can, take a vacation. And it doesn't have to be, 10 days in Thailand, but getting away, switching up your routine, doing things differently can literally, it switches things up in your brain. And you guys probably all know what I'm talking about. Like sometimes when you go away on vacation or you switch things up, you feel refreshed, you get clarity. I always say that I get my best ideas on vacation because you're kind of in that relaxed state. And with that, will also add sometimes giving yourself space. So when we're in a box, this is a quote that will describe what I'm talking about. I love Albert Einstein, and a quote that he says is, "You can't solve a problem with the same thinking that created it." If we're in a box of our own thinking and we're trying to outthink it, we just end up fighting within ourselves. So sometimes it's almost doing the opposite and saying, okay, I'm not going to think about this. I'm going to give myself space. And going and maybe doing something that gets you into flow. Exercising, dancing, drawing. Doing things that just elevate your overall energy and feelings and that give you that expansive feeling. That can be really, really helpful to help you kind of shift outside of the box. And I think all these things I just went through combined together can really get you feeling much more clear. And I would say the final takeaway here is switching from doing things that take you from head to heart. We spend way too much time in here. And, while our brain serves a purpose, we over-rely on it. So thinking of ways that you can get out of the stories you're telling yourself here and switch into your inner state of knowing. So let's pause for a moment. I know a few of you have been tuning in. I want to know, when I'm talking about being stuck in the box, are you in a spot right now maybe where you feel like, yeah, this is resonating with me? Like there are some things that I'm thinking that are really getting in my own way? Does this resonate, or have you had maybe a past experience where you can relate to this? Okay, Talia, I see what you're saying. That writing is all about things coming together. Sounds like by giving yourself space, you can discover your purpose because things will come together. You have to not be afraid of what you find. Yes, love what you're saying here because you're touching on an element of trust. And I wasn't going to touch trust too much in here in this session today because that's a big topic. But sometimes it's coming from our need of wanting to control things from a place of fear, a place of lack that gets in our way. And part of the giving yourself space is trusting that things will come together. And of course, this is not to say to not take the right actions, right? You can still be taking actions, but it's almost the energy behind it. Taking action from a place of fear versus a place of openness. Does that resonate, Talia, with what you're trying to say in your comment? Thank you, Shannon. Yes, you just went out for a run outside to clear your mind. Love it. Perfect. And now you're here doing the inner work. No, I find running, yes, exercise, and the runner's high. It gets you out of your head and more connected with into your body and into your soul. Okay, Katie, excuse me, so Katie just joined. Hi, Katie. Talia, that resonates with you? Okay, good. Big time. Anyone else that, getting outside the box, anything about this that resonates with you? Any questions you have around this? Okay. I'm going to move on to reason number 3. And we'll also have time at the end for question answer. So thank you all for your great participation. Reason number 3. Your inner critic is the decision maker. We talk a lot about the inner critic in this group, as you know, for those of you who have attended my workshops before. And this in a way connects to the first 2 reasons. So our inner critic is that part of us that wants to protect us. So it's a critical internal voice, tells us we're not good enough, we have to be perfect, all of that. A lot of times it's the voice of judgment, the voice of shame. And when I say that it wants to protect us, is that this voice was learned over time, and our inner critic emerged from experiences in the past where we experienced pain, shame, embarrassment, rejection. And because of these experiences, we declared certain beliefs, such as I'm not good enough. And the inner critic tells us those things because it wants to protect us. Because if we feel like we're not good enough, then we might not go outside of our comfort zones and risk rejection or failure. So understanding that the intention is good. However, when our inner critic is the decision maker, we're not really making decisions from a place of what's going to serve us. And we're living from a place of fear, more like a place of scarcity and protection versus that place of feeling of expansion, of flow, like we've just been talking about. If you're noticing this with yourself, and a great way to pay attention to this is competing intentions. Our inner critic is more on the subconscious level, so sometimes we're not even consciously aware of it. So that's why, what I said earlier, doing that thought work can be very helpful to see really what are those beliefs and those thoughts that you're operating with. And sometimes where we can feel like we don't have clarity is we feel that push and pull. It's like the one voice says, oh, let's do this. There's another voice that says, no, let's do this. Who can relate to that? I mean, me too. I can relate to it as well. The back and forth, which can often create that indecisiveness. Sometimes with that, all you have to do is give your inner critic and give that fear a voice to really understand where it's coming from. What does it want for you? What is it trying to protect you from? And then when you understand that perspective is coming from that place of fear, concern, whatever it's trying to protect you from, you can then move forward in the direction of what you really want. And tell your inner critic, thank you for trying to protect me, but this is where I want to go. And yes, it might be uncomfortable or it might be scary, but it's in alignment with what you truly want to pursue. Another piece of this can be very helpful is when you're feeling like you're not knowing and you're fighting between these 2 perspectives, is just to drop into your body and really say, what does not knowing feel like? sometimes it creates so much stress when we not knowing, and we don't want to feel it, and we feel icky around it. And sometimes it's just tuning in and saying, okay, what does not knowing feel like? And then we can move through it. Another important question here is to ask yourself, if you were completely confident that you would be successful no matter what, like it was a done deal, no matter what you picked, you would be successful, what would you do? That's a great way to get out of that fear and that indecision and look at where you're really feeling pulled to go. So I'm going to pause here. We just went over reason number 3. Questions. Can anyone relate to what I'm talking about here? And for those of you who are on the replay, please feel free to add your comments when you're watching this. And I'm also curious, for those of you who are watching now, when you think about your inner critic, how would you say it holds you back when it comes to getting clarity? Yes, okay. I see yes, I still relate. And I'm even with that, how would you say your inner critic specifically holds you back when it comes to getting clarity or anything else? Yes. Glad you like that, Shannon. If you knew you'd be successful, what would you do? Yes, because that is it gets you into an energy of trust as well. Because it's like, oh, I'm trusting I'm going to be successful. So it kind of takes out that concern, and it can almost get you instant clarity. Yes, inner critic comparison. Yes. It says you're lazy, I won't succeed at this. You think you want to do this, but really you're just picking it because you want the social validation. You wouldn't be happy. Wow, okay, this is good. So I love comparison. Yes, that inner critic, it makes you want to compare because it's coming from that place of like, I'm not doing good enough, they're doing better. I am lazy. Oh, that, and I won't succeed at this. Almost like you don't have, it's almost like your inner critic is saying you don't have what it takes to do this. That it's really trying to protect you. And I wonder for you, Shannon, what do you think it's trying to protect you from? Because by saying that, it definitely doesn't want you taking any chances. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying about your inner critic message. And then Talia, my inner critic says, you think you want to do this, but really you're just picking it. Wow. So your inner critic's playing some mind tricks on you, Talia. It's really saying, it's actually feeling like, oh, you don't really want this. And I wonder for you, Talia, a way I think for you to maybe reason with that, your inner critic, is maybe to look at what are the reasons why you feel called to this and why you want it. And give yourself that evidence that contradicts what your inner critic is saying in terms of like, you just want the social validation. That's why you're pursuing this. Yes, Shannon, protecting me from going out on a limb and failing. Yes, that's exactly what it's telling you. You don't have what it takes, so that way you don't take that risk and then fail. Absolutely. And you know, as you're all sharing this with me with your inner critic, I know we want to fight with this part of us, right? But looking at really what the intention is and just kind of acknowledging it. Okay, I understand you want to protect me from failure. Thank you, I appreciate it. Putting that away, and then some other ways that you can kind of deal with this, I'm gonna go with the failure example, is looking at creating a list of evidence. What are times when you maybe have failed and have survived? I know sometimes we think we're going to fail and we're going to blow up into flames, right? So, okay, I see what you're saying, Jim. You're risk adverse. You need to define what success looks like for you too. So I'm going to get to that in a second. To say with your inner critic and the protecting you from failure, gathering evidence, when have you failed in the past and bounced back? And also, when are times that you thought you were going to fail and you didn't? And I think I'm going to guess that the risk aversion is also in that failure and trying to define what success looks like for you. And I think for you, I wonder if it's like, okay, getting that clarity, what does it actually look like for you versus perhaps what it should look like? I don't know if I'm catching on to the things that you're dealing with accurately, Shannon, but feel free to tell me yes or no. Anyone else want to add before we move on to reason number 4? Okay. So reason number 4 is you're not taking the right actions or any action at all. And I think for this group, oh, it resonates great, Shannon. Oh, guys, see, this is why I haven't done Facebook Live. I get so distracted by all the comments. Okay, back to reason number 4. You're not taking the right actions or any action at all. I would say most of the time we're not taking action, or when I say taking the right action, I don't mean like you have to have the perfect right action. I mean like we're taking action from a place of fear, like action that doesn't really support us. And if you saw my video from last week, I said there are 3 types of actions that you can take to get clarity: investigative, leaping, and just taking the first step. Investigative is when you have to do some research, when you have some ideas of what you're interested in, and doing that research, going to classes, going to informational interviews, just talking to people, doing even research on the internet to learn more about something. Leaping is really good when you want to, you have a big idea. And this can be great if you're risk averse, like Shannon, like you mentioned. I'm sure I know other members of this group I've talked to before. I know they also face that risk aversion. And so leaping can be a great way to take a step forward, get some feedback, but also telling that risk aversion part of you that's going to be okay. And so let's say you have either a big goal that you're moving towards or a concept. Maybe you're not completely sure that this is the right goal for you, but you have an idea of it. Move towards it by taking a leap. So let's say you want to launch a class or a big workshop. You can take a leap by creating a pilot workshop, seeing who signs up, so get a sense of the audience who's interested, and testing out the content and getting feedback from them so you can use that in moving forward. The purpose of the leap, I want to say, is the leap gets us out of the planning and the ruminating and I don't know if this is going to work. It's taking that action. And it's the small bite-sized chunks. And just to give you an example of this, I have a client right now who we've only just worked together for the first 2 months. We moved so fast. She had one business idea that shifted to another business idea, which then she decided to get a job and do her business on the side. And she said to me, "Krista, do you think I'm wishy-washy?" I said, "Not at all." I said, we did the leaps. We took that action so quick that in 6 weeks, she became really clear on what she wanted. Versus, as we know, it can take sometimes forever to really get that clarity. And that's because she went out there, she was taking investigative action. We did a little leap. So that's the benefit of the action piece, because I want you all to think of it, action as this way. Get rid of the attachment to the outcome and focus instead on just taking the action and rewarding yourself for doing it. We all get caught up in, oh, am I going to fail? Is it going to be this or that? And that is often what gets in the way. But if you can just rewire your brain just to say, great job, I took action. Even if you fail and learn from it, it's okay. And that's the other piece here, is sometimes just taking the first step. I find that a lot of times, if we like break it down really, really small, we know what that first baby step is to move forward. Final piece of this here is to really even be more intentional with the actions that you're taking. I recommend, if you have a journaling practice, really observing how you're interacting in your day-to-day. What's your self-talk like? Where are you holding yourself back? And then here are some questions you can really look at to evaluate yourself. If I stop doing XYZ, then if I start doing XYZ, then I will. So you see filling in the blanks there. So if I stop doing, I don't know, I stop just saying I'm trying to get clarity, then I'll take the right actions to move forward. If I start taking action to move forward, then I'll have a learning experience and some feedback and some data to look at to help me get clear on what I want. Another way you can use this exercise is looking at, okay, based on your observations, what is your comfort zone? My comfort zone is XYZ, like this is what I'm comfortable with. And a step I could take out of it is blank. And this is good because a lot of times this work, there is going to be discomfort. You're going to be getting out of your comfort zone. And really just keeping those actions small, it helps to build up your confidence, and it also gives you that feedback. And then you could take bigger actions, and before you know it, you're moving towards your goals. So questions around this. First, Talia, I want to answer your comment. Okay, Talia, to go back on what we were talking about before, I noticed you said, my brain is trying to trick me into thinking I'm being selfish by thinking about what I want instead of what my family or friends want. I wonder, Talia, do you have a little bit of people pleasing? And I know, actually, based on what you've shared with me, you have a lot of pressure on you to show up for your family and friends in ways that are almost perhaps not best for your well-being. So it makes sense. This has probably been a pattern that's been ingrained. So it makes sense that your brain is trying to get in the way and saying that you're being selfish by doing what you want, when we know that's not actually the truth. Yes, okay. Thanks, Talia. Now, regarding action, anyone in this group, anyone who's watching, are there any ways that you think taking these types of actions could really benefit you in getting the clarity you're looking for? And bonus, if you think of an action that you want to take and you want to put it right down here, feel free to share it, and we can all hold each other accountable to the actions that we're going to take to move forward. We can even go back to the action piece at the end, because I always like, whenever I do a workshop, so everyone to walk away with a tangible action step on how we're going to move forward. So think about this now. Start thinking about, okay, what is one small action step that I can commit to move towards the clarity that I'm looking for? Or even if other goals are coming to mind as you're watching this, feel free to make your action step around that. So Shannon, just saw your comment. I could apply for new types of jobs and take interviews to learn more if I can see myself in the roles. Excellent. Perfect. And seeing it just as a learning experience, like you're saying, getting that feedback so you can figure out how to best move forward. Talia, creating a webpage to promote your writing, maybe even joining Medium to start building up revenue. Yes, Talia, I know you are an incredible writer. it sounds like for you that leap is just creating that web page. And that's a great, great start. Love this. Okay. I'll circle back. If anyone else has actions they're going to take, we can circle back to those at the end. And then reason number 5, and this might not apply since you guys are all here. I had to still say this though, is that reason number 5, we don't get clarity, is you're not doing the work. And what I mean by that, the fact that you guys are all tuning in here, you guys are doing the work. You're saying, okay, what can I do to learn to invest in myself, to really get what I want? And I find sometimes a few things can come up. And when I say not doing the work, this could even show up in our inability to take the actions we know that we should be taking. And for those of you tuning in, especially my clients who have worked with me, you know that I ban the word lazy. I hate the word lazy because it's often, there's often shame within that, like, oh, I'm lazy and I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. But many times there's a reason why we're not doing something. So if you're not doing what you're supposed to, like if you're saying, I want to get clear, I want this, and if you're not doing the steps to get there, really looking at what's going on there. Why aren't you doing what you should be doing? Looking at also your commitment to it. How committed are you really? Why is it important to you? Buying yourself in on why you want to get clarity, why you want to achieve a certain goal. Really, what's it really about? And then being open and honest and realizing like there is work involved with this. It's a process, and it's totally okay if you don't have the answers overnight. Taking these steps, taking care of yourself, coming on this webinar, but also taking care of yourself, doing the things that you need to do for you. It's more about the progress you're making over time, and that will lead you to the results that you want. But first, it really is making sure you're being consistent and doing the work and doing the things that you need to do. Because many times I'll meet women who are like, I don't know, I'm trying to make my job work for me. I don't really know. And I'll ask, well, what are you doing about it? And they're not really doing anything. So it's important to really honor that commitment to yourself, because you deserve it. You deserve to have a career and a life you love. If I didn't believe that, I wouldn't be devoting my entire career to doing this work. So you owe it to yourself, and sometimes we can get in our own way when we don't think that we deserve what we really want. So that's the final reason. And I think you've probably, those of you who are watching, these all really connect into each other. So that's why I wanted to put them all together, even though I took some of the tools that I already shared with you, because I want you to have this one place where you can really go back and go through all of this together. Now, for those of you who are watching, I want to turn it over to you and see, do you have any follow-up questions? Anything that I can answer for you while we're on here? I'll answer everyone's question. Even if it's not directly related to this, I'm happy to support while I'm on here. I love seeing the conversations going on in the feed right now. I love seeing everyone support each other. No follow-on questions? Okay, well, I'll wait because I know it's kind of a delay here. Do I work with clients to help them define success? Yes. Yes, I do. That's a huge chunk of what I do, defining success on their own terms, getting clear on what that is. And it's one of my favorite parts of what I do, because when you can define success on your own terms and take those actions towards it, that's when life really can be incredible. So yes, I do. I'll wait for the questions to trickle in since I'm realizing now that this thing has a delay. And before we all get off, I do have a special gift that I'm offering tonight. So I will say that. I just want to make sure we have the questions. I know for anyone who hasn't shared yet, if you want to share what your action is going to be, please feel free to put it here. And again, for those of you who are catching the replay, I know it can be tough to catch the live video. I want to hear from you too. If you have questions, I'll go back, I'll answer them. If you want to send me a message, and if you want to share what your action is, please feel free to do it, because then you guys can even comment back and forth. So those catching the replay, you can be as involved as you want when you come in and check it out. So to start wrapping this up, and feel free as I'm talking, if you guys have questions that come up for you or anything else you want to share, please feel free to post them. But to wrap it up, and I hope what you're getting out of this is the reasons why we don't often have clarity is related to our own perception as well as our actions. And in a way, it's simple, right? It's really, how are we looking at things? Are we operating from our past? Or are we operating from what we want to create? Because if we're trying to create a future from the past, we're going to, in a way, keep recreating the past because we're going from that old conditioning, those old habits. And that's a huge part of my work. And this is one of the things I love about working with clients, is helping them get rid of that so they can let go of not those fear-based habits and whatnot, but actually create what they really want. So that's something else to think about, is when you're thinking about your next steps forward. Are you operating from the past? Or are you creating from that place of expansiveness, from what you really want? And a great exercise I'll leave you off with is taking time a great way to get out of the past is to allow yourself to visualize. And I know, like, it sounds a little woo-woo, but meditation, and when I say visualization, you can do it in your journal. And this goes back to the question earlier, like, if success were the only possible outcome, what would you do? That can be a great starting point, and allow yourself to free write. Allow yourself to go there, like, what would my dream life be? And this is part of the coaching process. What I'm sharing with you is I like to start with the right brain and then add in the left brain, because we can't create from our left brain. And what I mean by this is you have to create from your right, and then the left brain can come in to start mapping out the strategy and start mapping out the actions. So with clarity, give yourself permission to go to that right brain and create from there, and not let the commentary of the left brain get into it, and then you can move into the strategy. And that was something, I'll share, like I shared earlier, my story about going full-time with my business. I didn't actually share how the story ended. So what ended up, obviously we know how it ended, here I am, but what ended up happening for me was getting crystal clear on what I wanted. So letting all the leaving out the how, getting clear on what I wanted, and then I moved to the how. Okay, how am I going to do this? How am I going to build this strategy? And I hired an excellent business coach to help me to do that, because I knew I needed someone to help me map out that strategy and get out of my own head. So get clear, allow yourself to go free right brain, and then you can always go back to figuring out those logistics and adding in the practicality piece. So I'm going to leave that with all of you. Does that, any follow-up questions as you just heard me talk through that? Okay, source some loves. Thanks, Elena. And Elena, I see that you say I struggle with operating from the past. Yes. And a great way just to be aware of that is just bringing gentle awareness. Like, oh, I'm operating from the past, and just label it for what it is. And just because, in a way, it's like, just because it happened in the past doesn't mean it's applicable to you now. So, oh, I'm so glad you love that suggestion, Elena. Thank you. So yeah, and when you're doing this work, being compassionate with yourself. So something that I'm really wanting to do for all of you is offer an opportunity to speak with me one-on-one to help you with whatever your clarity. Oh, thank you, Shannon. I'm glad you like that. So what I was saying, again, distraction on the Facebook Live, but I'm loving it. Just want to say, love it. I'm having so much fun with you guys. So what I want to offer you all is a chance to connect with me one-on-one to help you with these challenges. And so what I am offering is 30-minute breakthrough calls with me. So 30 minutes on the phone to look at really where you are stuck, help you diagnose it, and help you determine a potential step to move forward. And I call it a breakthrough call. It was very intentional because my goal on the call is to have you walk away with a breakthrough. So this is free, this is fun, this is a way for us to connect and to help you get the results that you want. So I have a Calendly link that you can sign up for. So I'm going to post it in the comments here. Wait, post it in the, I don't know, guys, again, okay, I think it's working, breakthrough call. And then I'll also post this in the group as well, in case it's hard to find in the comments here. Yay, Shannon, yes, I would love to talk to you on a breakthrough call. Yes, so you see my Calendly, and then it has all the times, and if for some reason a time doesn't work, just shoot me an email and we can make a time work. And one thing I do ask is if you sign up for one, try to, when it says, what are you trying to get out of the call? If you could provide me just a good understanding of the problem, as much information as possible, that'll help me better prepare so that way I can better coach you and also answer all your questions. So I hope to connect with you all on those breakthrough calls. And if you have any follow-up questions for me, you know where to find me. I really thank you all for tuning in. I had so much fun doing this tonight, and talking about taking small steps out of my comfort zone. To be perfectly honest, doing a Facebook Live for the first time was a little bit of a step outside my comfort zone, especially with like the technology and the comments and all of that. So I'm really glad I got to do this with all of you tonight, and I hope you found it to be valuable. So there will be more Facebook Lives, and if you have any ideas, anything you want me to talk about on a future Facebook Live, send it to me. This group is about you and your learning. So unless I don't think I would have the expertise to talk on it, I will do a Facebook Live on the topic or a post on it. So thank you all. I look forward to connecting with you on our breakthrough calls and additionally in the group. So have a great rest of your night. Thanks, Elena. Thank you, Thank you, Talia, yes. And if anyone else, I'll stay on here for a couple more minutes in case anyone else has anything else to say. Okay. Well, have a great rest of your night. I have to figure out how to get out of this thing. Okay, here we go. Have a wonderful rest of your night, ladies. We'll be in touch. Thank you.